There is a number floating around the internet that has quietly convinced millions of people they are failing. You have probably seen it. Maybe you have measured yourself against it. It usually lands somewhere between $500,000 and $1.5 million. And it is almost always followed by the words "at minimum" or "just to be safe." And if you are like most people, the first time you saw that number, something inside you tightened. A feeling you could not quite name. Not panic exactly, but a low steady hum of not enough, not yet, not even close. So let me ask you a direct question. If almost every headline, almost every calculator, and almost every financial advisor says you need at least $500,000 to retire, how many Americans actually have that? The answer might shock you, and what it reveals about retirement in this country is something almost nobody talks about honestly. My name is Ivan, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, financial psychology, and why some people seem to effortlessly build wealth, while others stay stuck in the same financial patterns for decades. If you are someone who wants to understand the real mechanics behind wealth building instead of just hoping things will magically improve, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up helping you see money differently. Let us start with the actual data. According to the Congressional Research Service analysis of the Federal Reserve's 2022 survey of consumer finances, about 54% of American households have any money at all inside a retirement account. That means nearly half the country has zero. Nothing in a 401k, nothing in an IRA, nothing in a 403b. Zero. Now, of the people who do have something saved, only about 9% have $500,000 or more. 9%. That is not 9% of retirees. That is 9% of all households that have their retirement savings. The median balance across all of them is $87,000. The average is higher, around $334,000, but averages lie to you when a small number of people at the very top drag the whole number upward. The median tells you where the actual middle is, and the actual middle is nowhere near $500,000. So when somebody on the internet tells you that $500,000 is the bare minimum, what they are really telling you, whether they know it or not, is that roughly 91% of American households with retirement accounts have failed. That is the implication. And if 91% of the population is failing at something, maybe the benchmark is the problem, not the people. But wait, because this is where it gets really interesting. If the numbers are that low, if the overwhelming majority of people retire with far less than the experts recommend, we should see a crisis, right? We should see millions of retirees in financial freefall, unable to eat, unable to pay for housing, unable to function. That is not what the data shows, not even close. A survey by the Transamerica Center for Retirement Studies found that roughly 89% of current retirees describe themselves as generally happy. 44% said their enjoyment of life actually improved after they stopped working. 41% said they are happier now than when they were employed. And about 2/3 say they have maintained their standard of living throughout retirement. Now, sit with that for a second. We just established that the vast majority of retirees do not have anywhere near $500,000, and yet nearly 9 out of 10 say they are happy. Something does not add up, right? Unless, of course, the story we have been told is incomplete. And it is. Massively. Let me give you a few pieces of the puzzle that rarely get mentioned together. First, retirement savings vary enormously depending on who you are and where you live. A Gallup poll from 2025 found that 83% of adults in households earning over $100,000 a year have a retirement plan. But among households earning under $50,000, that number drops to 28%. Among college graduates, 81% have a retirement account. Among adults without a college degree, 39%. Among white Americans, 68%. Among people of color, 42%. These gaps are not small, they are structural, and they tell you something important about why a single benchmark like $500,000 is absurd as a universal standard. A person living in rural Tennessee with a paid-off house and low property taxes does not need the same number as someone renting in San Francisco. A person with a public sector pension does not need the same number as a freelancer with no employer match. The number changes depending on everything about your life, and yet the financial media treats it like a universal pass or fail grade. Second, and this one is crucial, Social Security replaces roughly 40% of the average worker's pre-retirement income. For lower earners, it replaces even more, sometimes 60 to 70%. And since retirement spending naturally declines with age, which we will get to in a minute, that 40% replacement goes a lot further than you would think. Here is the part the financial industry does not love to advertise. The single largest source of retirement income in America is not investment accounts. It is Social Security. More than half of all retirees, around 53%, say Social Security is their primary income source in retirement. Not their 401k, not their brokerage account, Social Security. The average monthly benefit as of January 2026 is $2,071. For a married couple, both collecting, that could easily reach $3,500 to $4,000 a month. And that money arrives every single month, adjusted for inflation, for the rest of your life. Now, if you tried to build a private income stream that paid you $2,000 a month, adjusted for inflation, guaranteed for life, do you know how much you would need to set aside? Depending on the assumptions you use, somewhere between $400,000 and $600,000 in a traditional portfolio, which means that for many retirees, Social Security alone is the equivalent of having $500,000 in the bank. But nobody talks about it that way, because when you frame Social Security as a massive financial asset, it makes the crisis narrative a lot harder to sell. Let me be clear, I'm not saying Social Security is perfect or that it is all you need. That is not the point. The point is that when a financial calculator asks, how much have you saved, and only counts what is inside your investment accounts, it is ignoring the single largest income source that most retirees actually depend on. And when you erase that from the picture, of course, you feel behind. Now, here is something that will change how you think about retirement math permanently. Most retirement calculators assume you will spend the same amount every single year for 20 or 30 years straight, adjusted only for inflation. A flat line, same spending at 65 as at 85. And that assumption is wildly wrong. Researchers at the RAND Corporation studied spending patterns of Americans from age 65 through their late 80s using over a decade of data from the Health and Retirement Study. What they found is something that would make most financial calculators irrelevant. Real spending declines consistently after age 65, not just for people who are broke, for everyone, including people in the top 25% of the wealth distribution. The decline was roughly 1.7% per year for single households and about 2.4% per year for couples. A separate study by JP Morgan using real banking data found that total spending drops by more than 30% between age 60 and 85. Transportation drops nearly 40%. Entertainment drops almost 40%. Food falls 15%. Housing decreases too. The only category that went up was healthcare, and even that increase was completely offset by the drop in everything else. Financial planners sometimes call this the go-go, slow-go, no-go framework. In your 60s and early 70s, you travel, you eat out, you do things. In your mid-70s to early 80s, you slow down. By your late 80s, your world gets smaller, your expenses shrink, and you need far less than you ever imagined. And yet, nearly every single retirement projection assumes a flat spending line that never drops, which means they are systematically overestimating how much you need. And nobody in the industry has a strong incentive to correct that, because overestimation keeps people saving. And saving means more assets under management, and more assets under management means more fees. Let me show you how that incentive works, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The global asset management industry manages over $139 trillion. That number is expected to climb past $200 trillion by 2030. Advisors in this space commonly charge a fee based on how much money you hand them to manage. The typical fee is around 1% of assets per year. So if you have $500,000 with an advisor, they earn roughly $5,000 a year. If you have $1 million, they earn $10,000. Now think about what that means. Every dollar you move out of your savings account and into their management earns them money. Every year you delay retirement because you think you need more earns them money. Every fear-based article that convinces you to save harder and invest more earns them money. This is not a conspiracy. It is a business model, and it is an incredibly profitable one. None of this means financial advice is bad or that advisors are villains. Many of them do excellent work, but you should understand the structure you are operating inside, because the structure has a preference. It prefers you to feel behind. It prefers you to believe you need more. It prefers you to keep feeding the machine, and the proof is in the numbers. According to the 2026 Retirement Confidence Survey from EBRI, retirement confidence among workers has dropped to its lowest level since 2017. 6 in 10 workers say they feel behind. Nearly 40% say they are significantly behind. And the primary drivers of that anxiety are not math problems. They are emotional ones, inflation fears, social security uncertainty, the vague, persistent feeling that the goal keeps moving. That feeling is not accidental, it is a feature of the system, not a bug. Now, let me introduce you to two people. You know them by now, Rich Richard and Poor Peter. Same age, both 63. Both preparing to retire in about 2 years. Both spent their careers earning roughly the same income. Rich Richard has about $320,000 saved in his retirement account. That is below the so-called benchmark, and if you told a financial advisor that number, they would probably wince. But Rich Richard also has a monthly pension of $1,200 from a previous employer. His Social Security benefit, because he waited until full retirement age, will be about $2,300 a month. His house is paid off. His car is 10 years old and runs fine. He has no debt. When you add his pension and Social Security together, he brings in about $3,500 per month before he touches a single dollar of savings. His monthly expenses are around $3,200. Rich Richard does not need his savings to survive. He needs them for flexibility, for travel, for unexpected repairs, for gifts to his grandchildren. His $320,000 is not his lifeline. It is his bonus. If this is making something click for you, take a second and hit that subscribe button. I make videos like this every week, breaking down the psychology and the math behind money in a way that actually makes sense. And if you know someone who is stressing about their retirement number right now, send them this video. It might change how they see everything. Poor Peter has $480,000 saved, more than Rich Richard by a wide margin. On paper, he looks better, but poor Peter still has a mortgage with 9 years remaining. He carries a modest car payment. He does not have a pension. His Social Security benefit, because he claimed early at 62, will be about $1,600 a month. When you subtract his fixed expenses, including his mortgage, insurance, and the car, he is left with roughly $800 of breathing room each month. Everything else has to come from his investment account. Poor Peter has more money saved, but he has to depend on that money for survival. Every market downturn makes him nervous. Every unexpected bill makes him recalculate. Every financial headline feels personal. He has a bigger number in his account, but he has less peace in his life. Now imagine, both of them are 1 year into retirement and the market drops 20% in 6 weeks. It happened in 2020, it happened in 2008, it will happen again. Rich Richard sees his portfolio go from $320,000 to about $256,000. That hurts on paper, but he does not need to sell anything. His pension and Social Security still cover his monthly bills. He can wait, he can let the market recover, he can go fishing and not think about it. Poor Peter sees his portfolio drop from roughly $450,000 to $360,000. And unlike Rich Richard, Peter cannot wait. He still has a mortgage payment due on the first of the month. He still needs to pull from his investments to cover the gap between his Social Security and his expenses. So he is selling assets while they are down, locking in losses, shrinking his runway, and doing it with the full awareness that every withdrawal moves the finish line closer. This is what financial planners call sequence of returns risk. The order in which your returns happen matters enormously in the first few years of retirement. A bad market early on can permanently damage a portfolio that might have lasted 30 years under normal conditions. And the people most exposed to this risk are not the ones with smaller savings. They are the ones with higher dependency on those savings. Rich Richard is insulated, poor Peter is exposed, not because of the number in his account, but because of the structure underneath it. And this is the distinction that almost nobody teaches you. It is not about how much you have. It is about how much you need from what you have. The gap between your income floor and your expenses, that is the number that determines whether retirement feels comfortable or terrifying. And that gap has almost nothing to do with whether you hit $500,000. There is a concept in retirement research that I think more people should know about. Researchers have found that retirees who have at least one source of guaranteed income, whether it is a pension, Social Security, or an annuity, report significantly higher satisfaction than people with the same net worth but no guaranteed income stream. The predictability matters more than the size. Knowing that money will show up every month without you having to sell an investment, without you having to time a market, without you having to make a decision under stress, that certainty is worth more than most people realize. The EBRI found something that flips the conventional wisdom on its head. Retirees with low savings, low assets, and high levels of debt reported the lowest life satisfaction scores, averaging about 5.8 out of 10. But look at what is driving that unhappiness. It is not the low savings, it is the debt. Debt in retirement is a relentless drain on peace of mind because it creates obligations that do not care what the market did or how you feel. The mortgage payment is due regardless. The credit card bill is due regardless. Debt forces you to withdraw from your savings at a pace you did not choose, and that loss of control is what creates the anxiety. Meanwhile, retirees with modest savings but no debt and a reliable income floor consistently report satisfaction levels that are nearly indistinguishable from people with much larger portfolios. The security does not come from the pile, it comes from the absence of pressure on the pile. And here is a stat that supports this even further. Research cited by Prudential Financial found that self-reported financial well-being declines for only about 7% of households as they move into retirement, even though actual consumption drops by about 20%. And among people aged 80 and older, spending between $20,000 and $30,000 a year, 84% say they are satisfied with their financial situation. 84% at $20,000 to $30,000 a year. That is less than most people spend on a new car. Now, I am not telling you to aim low. I am not telling you that saving does not matter. It does. Saving is one of the most important financial habits you can build. And every dollar you put away today is a dollar that works for you tomorrow. But I'm telling you that the relationship between money saved and happiness in retirement is not the straight line you have been taught. It is not true that more savings automatically means more happiness. What matters is how your income is structured, how your expenses align with your reality, and how much of your financial life runs on autopilot versus anxiety. If you are watching this and you are 25 or 30, here is what this means for you. Start saving now. Not because you need to reach some magical number, but because the habit of saving is what builds the flexibility you will want later. Even small amounts compound dramatically over decades. A person who saves $300 a month starting at 25 with a 7% average return will have over $700,000 by 65. But a person who waits until 35 to start the same habit will have about half that. The math is not complicated. The discipline is. And if your employer offers a 401k match, take every dollar of it. That is free money. There is no investment on earth that gives you a 100% return on day one. If you're watching this and you're 45 or 50, here is what this means for you. Stop comparing yourself to headlines. Look at your actual income floor. Add up your Social Security estimate, any pensions, any rental income, any side income that is stable and recurring. Then look at your real monthly expenses, not a percentage, not a rule of thumb, your actual life. The gap between those two numbers is what your savings need to cover. That is your real target, not $1 million, not $500,000, your gap. And if that gap is large, the single most effective thing you can do is not invest more aggressively. It is reduce the gap itself, pay off the mortgage before you retire if you can. Eliminate car payments, get rid of subscriptions you forgot you were paying. Lowering your fixed expenses by $500 a month has the exact same financial effect as having an extra $150,000 in your portfolio at a 4% withdrawal rate, except it is faster, easier, and risk-free. If you are watching this and you are 55 or older, consider one more thing. Delaying your Social Security claim from 62 to 70 increases your monthly benefit by roughly 70 to 77%, depending on your birth year. That is not a small bump. That is a fundamentally different retirement. Every year, you wait past your earliest eligibility adds about 8% to your benefit, guaranteed, inflation adjusted, for life. No investment in the market gives you a guaranteed 8% annual increase. And yet millions of Americans still claim at 62 because they're afraid the money will not be there. The fear costs them real income that would have lasted the rest of their lives. And if you are already retired or close to it with less than $500,000 saved, understand this. You are in the vast majority. 91% of Americans with retirement accounts are right there with you. And the data says most of you will be fine. Not because money does not matter, but because retirement is not a single number. It is a system. Income in, expenses out, and the space between them is where your freedom lives. Let me leave you with one final thought. The retirement industry has a word for people who hit $500,000 in savings. They call them mass affluent. That is the industry term for the segment of the population that has enough money to be profitable to manage, but not so much that they qualify for private wealth services. You are a category to them. a revenue tier, but you are not a revenue tier. You are a person trying to figure out when you can stop working and start living. And the answer to that question has less to do with the size of your account than with the structure of your life. The people who retire well are not always the ones with the biggest balances. They are the ones who understood what they needed, built income around that need, and stopped measuring themselves against a number that was never designed to help them in the first place.